Hi guys! So I'm 27 weeks and 3 days today. Symptoms this week. I have been having a ton of Braxton Hicks. I'm talking every single day I have Braxton Hicks, and I asked my doctor about it and he says completely normal, so as long as they're not like consistent then there shouldn't be a problem, which they're consistent. I consistently have them every night, but they're not like 3 minutes apart or whatever. So yeah, I'm having them every single day, and I'm trying to up my water intake, and I'm going to try to keep upping my water intake because I know that that can be a factor in having them. So, but I'm still having them every single day. One interesting thing, and I don't remember if I talked about this last week, but anytime I touch my stomach, I don't even feel like a hard ball anymore. It's just body parts. Like when I touch my stomach, I'm like, oh, there's a foot, oh, there's a knee, oh, there's a butt, there's a head, or whatever it is. So that's really cool. I remember when I was pregnant with Lilia, one of my main symptoms was the cervix pain that I would have with her. Oh, cougars. She has a cold right now. But I'm starting to feel that, especially like if I'm sitting down for a while and I stand up and I like start walking, I can just feel, it's just like a sharp pain on my cervix. Who's that, the baby? You see a baby? I had my appointment on Wednesday, sorry. I had my appointment on Wednesday, and this appointment was not as good as the last one. It was really fast, and I remember I told you guys that the way, are you putting on makeup? So pretty. The way that this doctor's office works is that there's like 5 different OBs. Anyone can deliver, it just depends on who's on call. So I have like my main doctor, but I still have to see every single other doctor before I deliver. So this time I had a different doctor than than my main one, and I saw my main one last time and the time before that. So this one is definitely not as, I mean, he didn't impress me. Like, he walked into the room and he didn't even sit down. He just like walked in and he was like, okay, lay down. So I laid down, and he like took out the fetal, or the fetal monitor heartbeat thing. Bless you. And he did the heartbeat. I thought he said like 155 to 160 as in like the heart rate. And I was like, okay, what about the other one? And he went back, he's like, oh, I showed you both of them. And I was like, oh, you did? So he like did it again, and he did one, and then he did the other. And he's like, yeah, one's 155 and one's 160. So I think Kyson's is 155 and Caden's is 160 because he went from my left to right side. But he didn't even like explain anything. And then right after he did that, he left the room, and then he came back in the room, and he was like, oh, your glucose, or he's like, before he left the room, he was like, did you do your glucose test? And I was like, yeah. So he left the room, and then he came back in the room, and he was like, okay, you're good on glucose, like you don't have the gestational diabetes or whatever. But he didn't even like explain anything. He was just like, oh no, you don't have it. He also told me I'm STD free, which is fantastic. He left the room, and he'd come back in the room, and then he just like left the room again, and he was like, okay, see you in 2 weeks. And I was like, wait, I have a question. And so he came back in, and I was like, I've been having lots of Braxton Hicks, is that okay? He was like, oh yeah, it's fine. And then he just like left. He's like, see you in 2 weeks. I was like, okay. He never even sat down or anything. It was just really fast, and I don't know, not what I expected at all. Oh, and he was also like, schedule an ultrasound for sometime this week. Just like saying it casually. So I was like, okay, good thing I was like listening, because if I wasn't completely paying attention, then I would have been like so lost. So I went up to the front, and I scheduled an ultrasound, and she was able to get me in the next day. So I had an ultrasound yesterday. The ultrasound went really good, but it was really, really long because they have to measure 2 babies instead of just 1. And plus I hadn't seen this ultrasound tech before, because before they had sent me to a different one because they just got a new machine. So anyway, I was laying on my back for probably about 25 minutes. And like halfway through, I started getting like lightheaded, and my back was killing me. And she was like, do you want to move on your side a little bit? I was like, yeah, I guess that would help. And she put like a pillow under my knees and stuff, but like I can't lay on my back at all. And she was like taking all these measurements. And anyway, long story short, they're both measuring great. Kyson is so low down. It pretty much looks like he's engaged to me, but I'm sure that it's too early. I don't know, I could be wrong. but his head is like down and it's kind of back like this, so his chin is up. And he's facing the right way, because remember Lilia was, I forget which one is posterior and anterior, but Lilia was the one that you're not supposed to be. And he's the right way. So he's facing backwards and his back is along my belly. It sure looks like right now he's going to stay baby A and he's going to be the first one to come out. And he's also measuring 2 days ahead of Caden, which they've been measuring 2 days apart since the beginning. So that's good. And then Caden is still head up and he's also facing back. And there's still plenty of time for them to switch. I've read stories to where twins don't switch up until birth. I mean, they still have plenty of time to switch. So I'm just crossing my fingers that he will. And if not, then we're still going to try a vaginal birth as long as Kyson stays head down. Because, of course, right when the first baby comes out, the second baby can switch, he can swim around. You can do all kinds of things. Oh, you're silly. So let me show you the pictures I got. So she tried to get a cute like face picture, but since they were both facing backwards, it was really hard to get. So we didn't get any face pictures. All we got is, this is Kyson. So you can see right here, that's his spine. And those are his ribs, and that's his neck, and then that's his head right here. So you can see, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And then this is Caden. There's supposed to be a face in this picture, but I do not see it whatsoever. I think it's on this side somewhere. Maybe like that's the cheekbone, and that's the chin, and that's the forehead. I don't know, but I don't see it at all. But that's supposed to be Caden's face. And then this is Kyson again. And, oops, again, this is his spine right there. Oops. This is his spine right there, and then there's his head right there. So yeah, she took all the measurements and everything came out perfectly good. They're measuring right on track. Actually, they're measuring a tad. I think Kyson was measuring at 26 and 6 days, and Caden was measuring at 26 and 4 days. So they're measuring a little bit behind, but still it's nothing to change the due date. It's just like a few days off. I think it was 3 days off from my due date, so it's nothing to be concerned about at all. And also, I went back to my Bradley class last week. I don't remember if I mentioned this. I've been getting a lot of info from that class, and I actually bought a book from her, and it's called The Thinking Women's Guide to a Better Birth. And I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but it's supposedly, it talks about, right here it says, includes clear, comprehensive information on cesareans, inducing labor, IVs, epidurals, home births, hospital births, birth centers. So it's just like all kinds of information about everything. So I'm going to read this as soon as I get the chance. It talks about everything. Like it'll talk about an episiotomy, and it'll say what it is, who needs it. So it's really informative. And also, one of the things that she was talking about is how it's not really necessary to do the fetal monitoring the whole entire labor. And so she was saying that I should try to talk to the hospital and see if I can maybe get 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off, because the way that she was explaining it is that when you compare the babies that had the fetal monitoring when the mom was in labor versus the babies who didn't have the fetal monitoring when the mom was in labor, there's not a higher survival rate either way, but the ones who do have the fetal monitoring have a higher chance of having a C-section. And it makes sense because the second the heart rate drops for just a second, everyone freaks out. And of course the heart rate drops during labor, so it's a perfectly normal thing, and a lot of the times doctors will kind of over-exaggerate the whole situation. So she's been giving me so much good info on all of this stuff. And she just talks about so much information I can't even talk about it all here. Of course I'm going to avoid to the best of my ability to be induced. And anyway, so also I bought a birthing ball this week. Fun, fun. I'm going to start sitting on that all the time. Oh, and I know I said this, but I didn't really talk about it. But they're already moving my appointments to every 2 weeks, which is really early to me, it seems. But I guess, I mean, I have no problem going every 2 weeks. It's still, like, more information for me. So my next appointment is, I forget what day it is. It's not next week, but the following week on Tuesday, whatever day that is. One thing that I found out this week, which I thought was really interesting, is me and my friend were talking about how people say that twins run in families and stuff like that. So I looked up the studies behind it, and it turns out that identical twins are pure coincidence. from the things that I was reading anyways. I didn't really research too into it, but I was reading up and it turns out that identical twins are just pure coincidence. It has nothing to do with running in your family. And as for fraternal twins, it's not that the twinning runs in the family, it's that hyperovulation could run in the family. So, and that makes sense because if you're hyperovulating, that means you're ovulating more than one egg. You're more likely to fertilize the more than one egg. So I just thought that was really interesting. And also the whole skipping generations thing, that's a complete myth. And they say that the reason people say that the twins skip generations is because if your grandma on your dad's side had twins, say your dad is a twin, your grandma on your dad's side has twins, and then she has your dad, and then it's you, of course your dad can't hyperovulate, so then you're the next one in line. So anyway, I just thought that was really interesting because I always hear people say, oh, do twins run in your family? And I'm like, no, not at all. So it just turns out that everything is pretty much a pure coincidence except for hyperovulation. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my 27-week belly. Okay, so here's with the shirt on. The belly button. Here's with the shirt up. My tattoo has been holding up really well. Thank goodness, knock on wood. Belly button. No new stretch marks yet, but I have, this one looks like it might be growing, and then all of these old ones are still there. Let's go to measure. Alright, so I don't remember what I was last week. Looks like I'm at 41. Yeah, just over 41. So I'd say 41 and a quarter. Oh my gosh. Yeah, 41 and a quarter. So 41 and a quarter makes me just 2 inches away from when I had Lilia. So I am right there. And I'm only 27 weeks. I still got a good 10 weeks to go, at least. Anyway, I'm gonna be huge. I think that's all for this week. So let me know if you have any questions or anything. Oh, also I completely forgot. My baby shower is tomorrow. My family baby shower is tomorrow. So of course I'm gonna videotape that, upload tons of video footage. And other than that, I think that's all. I'll talk to you guys for week 28. Bye. Say bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.